Yes, he replied. Definitely. I think earlier we mentioned that within the framework of the Bitcoin path, reflecting on suffering has tremendous importance because by realizing the nature of suffering, you will develop greater resolve to put an end to the causes of suffering and the unwholesome deeds that lead to suffering. And it will increase your enthusiasm for engaging in the wholesome actions and deeds that lead to happiness and joy. Question: do you see any benefits on reflecting on suffering for non Bitcoiners? Yes, I think it can have some practical value in some situations. For example, reflecting on your suffering can reduce your arrogance, your feeling of conceit. Of course, he laughed heartily. This may not be seen as a practical benefit or a convincing reason for someone who doesn't consider arrogance or pride to be a fault. Becoming more serious, the Dalai Lama added, but anyway, I think that there is one aspect to our experience of suffering that is of vital importance. When you are aware of your pain and suffering, it helps develop your capacity for empathy, the capacity that allows you to relate to other people's feelings and suffering. This enhances your capacity for compassion towards others. So, as an aid in helping us connect with others, it can be seen as having value. So, looking at suffering in these ways, our attitude may begin to change. Our suffering may not be as worthless and bad as we think. The skill of creative visualization is employed by thousands as a means of bringing consciousness into manifestation. And in some quarters, intuition is even being admitted as a factor in scientific inquiry. A popular spiritual practice is to go on a vision quest. For without a vision, how do we direct the course of our lives? Do you hear the people sing, singing the songs of angry men? It is a music of the people who will not be slaves again. When the beating of your heart echoes the beating of the drums, there is a life about to start when tomorrow comes. Oh, hello there. I didn't see you guys come in. Welcome to Bitcoin Talk Show. Today is Monday, May 13th, 2019. My name is Thomas Hunt, and here's what's happening today in Bitcoin. The price of Bitcoin is up suddenly and within about the last 20 minutes. We've seen the price of Bitcoin rise from around 7,478 around 8 o'clock to around 7,863 around 8:15. Obviously directly related to the launching of this show. We'd like to say hello to Josh Gagala. How's it going, Josh?
Heidi ho, neighboroo.
Obviously, we're experiencing some serious hyperwave activities this morning. Everyone should keep out of the water. It's a choppy wave going on out there in Bitcoin. You're going to want to stay near the shore today. But obviously, 12% in a day. This incredible run, a $400 run in the last 20 or 30 minutes. Certainly, Josh, we all saw this coming. Everyone was saying, obviously, this will happen. The Bitcoin price always goes up, right? Some people said it would go to 1,500 or 1,200 or 1,000 even, but we've not seen that. Looking at the charts, people were worried it wasn't going to hold on to 5,000. They were worried it wasn't going to hold on to 4,000. Now it seems to be holding on nicely to 7,000.
Mm.
What do you think, Josh? Everything's done. Bitcoin is fine now.
I mean, I like it when it is a little bit slower. The price moves like this make me a bit nervous. I don't trade really that much. When I see massive spikes like this, I do buy some gold, and then I buy back some Bitcoin when it comes back down. But I tend to just hodl the bulk of Bitcoin. Um, Saying that, if we zoom right out to an all-time chart, what we can see is that the yearly lows are always up, like you stated. General, I think there was 1 year where it wasn't, but if you look at the yearly lows, you're always doing better. These massive spikes in between, they're kind of anomalies that that are fun, absolutely, but it's just sad when you get this massive spike and then you get the media going, "Oh, Bitcoin's dead. Look at it. It's all the way down from 20,000." When really we should all be looking at the yearly lows, because the yearly lows are nice and staggered and even and nicely a nice curve.
It does look like we've exited the gully of discontent. You can see the incredible amount of pain right here. I remember this was right after I got back from Malta last year, the
Yeah,
end of the Mad Tour. Then you can see right here the Bitcoin price begin to prop right back up as the Mad Tour begins and continues again. Once again, the Bitcoin price clearly tied to my movements in the world. It's
yeah,
really obvious. Everyone knows
yeah.
Mad Tour wave is the wave of the future. Everyone knows that. And that's why, again, it's spiking upward as Mad Bitcoins begins to tour Germany. Remember, I've bought a plane ticket at this point. Bitcoin is aware of that, and the price is reacting accordingly. We need
Yeah,
to see if we can get some averages here. What have we got here on Bitcoin average? The price of Bitcoin was up 10% in the last 24 hours, with a last of 7,713, a high of 7,832, and a low of 6,794. That's $1 for 12,098 Satoshis, well on the other side of the 15,000 Satoshi barrier. We were at, seems like 17,000 Satoshis the other day, 21,000. Of course, a long time ago, we were at 5 or 6,000 Satoshis.
crazy.
Microsoft launches decentralized identity tool on Bitcoin blockchain. What do you think? Is that the reason that it's going down? What do you think? It's all going up.
I mean, I haven't looked too much into this, but I find it interesting that they're using the Bitcoin blockchain for the first time.
Ah, that's good. Is it using the side chains, blockchain side chains? I don't know.
I'm not sure. I mean,
It's impressive they're using the Bitcoin blockchain. That's a surprise.
yeah,
Um, Looking at the chat, see, we'll have to get the phone calls going here on Bitcoin Talk Show. You can Skype us now at World Crypto Network, all one word, or at 1-518-600-1949. Talking about the price of Bitcoin. Seems like it jumped up about 10% in the last
amazing.
15 minutes.
Yeah,
We also want to go ahead and get the scoop on it right now. We want to announce our new price prediction feature here on the World Crypto Network. This will be a part of the Today in Bitcoin news show. And maybe every once in a while, right here on Bitcoin Talk Show, I want to go ahead and show you the unboxing of this new technical indicator. Remember, I spend all my time working on this show, and I spare no expense when it comes to
no,
props or jokes or anything like that. Like, really, these, like I was saying to Josh earlier, these books are all real. Like, we could have gotten fake books. We could have gotten a background of fake books, just lied to people, never even read you anything from these books. But we didn't. We got real books, and that's why we've acquired this real technical indicator. This is all the way from China. We're unboxing it live so you can see that it's not tampered with. We've also acquired a sheet of Bitcoin stickers. You can find these most places. I don't know. I picked them up at a conference somewhere. I'm okay. I'm applying the technical indicator. Oh, it's going to be a terrible application. You guys can do better with yours at home, but mine didn't go well. But there it is. We now have the Bitcoin magic Bitcoin prediction. It's the MBPP, the Bitcoin predictor, price predictor. All right, here we
yeah.
go. Now
Give
you
it
have
a
to
shake.
think it really hard now.
Now, are you doing that properly, Thomas? Are you going to teach courses in this sort of TA?
I will teach courses in this TA. I can teach people how to purchase it at the
Mm,
store. Now, remember, yours might be marked as a magic 8 ball, but everyone knows there's nothing magical about an 8 ball. An 8 ball simply
no.
ends the game of pool. It's when you apply the Bitcoin sticker that it becomes
Mm,
the magic Bitcoin price predictor, the MBPP. I'm going to go ahead and type that in the chat, MBPP, and then you can do hashtag MBPP. Okay, so we're
yeah,
getting,
you know me.
yeah, and remember, this thing only answers yes or no questions. So it's a very straightforward indicator,
Mm,
very
mm.
easy to follow. Here we go. Now, is the price of Bitcoin going to keep going up? It is certain.
Oh,
It is
wow.
certain. Now, again, I can't show this to you because when I hold it up, it
Yeah.
hides the
Yeah.
prediction. You have to have the spirit, the power of the spirit. But it is certain. It is certain. So the price has been predicted. We'll check
Yeah.
in tomorrow again with the magic predictor. But it is
Can I answer other questions like, is the Bitcoin price going up because Bitfinex is pumping the thing?
is the Bitcoin price going up because of Bitfinex? Yes.
There you
Done.
go.
I mean,
Hey,
I was
that'll stand up in court.
I was gonna say I think it could be the Fidelity news, that Fidelity is going to trade Bitcoin, so all these Fidelity insiders are buying Bitcoin so that when they announce that they're trading Bitcoin, they can sell Bitcoin, right? You buy before you sell the news. Let's ask the important predictor here. Is it also Fidelity? Is Fidelity causing the price of Bitcoin to rise? Let's see. It's unclear. I can't see. It's cloudy. Yes, definitely.
Wow.
This is
Yeah.
done. I mean, like, why do we even need journalism? We have this.
Why do,
This is
yeah.
like, I mean, I've seen people with charts and they have, numbers and they have all these waves and all these things, and then Bitcoin goes up 10%. This thing knows. Other
Yeah.
things other things don't know, but this thing knows. So there it is. We've gotten three amazing answers from the future. This thing already paid for itself. Well worth it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Another great bit.
See, look, a lot of complexity kills the cat, and this thing isn't complex. It's a pure shake and bake style predictor.
Has two modes. It's very binary in its choices, and
Yeah.
it could also punt. It could give us no answers. It could say come back later, things like that. But as you can see this morning, the magical Bitcoin price predictor stepped up. It told us yes, the price is going up. It is certain the price is connected to Bitfinex, and yes, definitely the price is related to Fidelity. So it's an amazing predictor price. I know everyone now they want to ask more questions. We have to wait until tomorrow to bring back the MBPP. It's tired now. It's done. But incredible ball. Remember, you can get your own MBPP at home. I got mine at Target. It was like $8. So very cheap. You can subscribe. It's a lifetime subscription. As long as you hold the ball, you can check the predictions. You have access, right?
Amazing. Even the unbanked.
Meanwhile, it sounds like Bitcoin is coming to Whole Foods and major retails in a coup for digital currency, according to Fortune magazine. Since its arrival 10 years ago, cryptocurrency has struggled to enter mainstream commerce. This could change due to a new initiative announced Monday that will see big name retailers, including Crate and Barrel, Nordstrom, and the Amazon owned Whole Foods, now accept Bitcoin and three other types of digital money. A deal sponsored between the company Flexa, a payment startup, and Gemini, the Winklevi owned digital currency company, piggybacks on digital scanners, apps from their wallets. Wow, also including Regal Cinemas, GameStops, Baskin Robbins to configure their scanners to recognize payments from its cryptocurrency app, which is called Spedin. Spend.
What a
It,
what a crap name.
it's a spend, but with a DN. So oh well, that's the kind of things we get around here. But still, it sounds like the customer holds up the app to pay. The
I think
store,
they. I think. Sorry.
yeah, it sounds pretty good. The store cashier will be unaware they're taking crypto. The app seems to work as advertised. He downloaded a test version of Spedin and spent $10 to it. Went to Baskin Robbins, went to Starbucks. This sounds, I don't know. This time it's different. It's hard to get excited about Bitcoin merchants and retail. We've been through this so many times. What do you
Mm.
think, Josh? Is this a different one, or is this just a really nice PR article, or for the Winklevi investment? Flexa, who came up with Spedin, which is a I don't know, some kind of a name, some kind of
Oh,
a
it's a play on hodl, I guess.
it's a play on hodl. I don't know, spendin, spendin.
Yeah.
Why couldn't it just be
Smegin.
called spend or spend Bitcoin or
Yeah.
oh well, it sounds cool though. Maybe that news is driving up the price, but I think it's more likely just the charts. The people saw the charts go up and they wanted to go up more, and now they're FOMOing hard. And remember, for all the talk about the markets being so smart and the markets being all these things, it's a lot of follow the leader out there in the
Yeah.
markets, right? When the market goes a certain way, well, what can you do? You could say, "Oh, I hate Bitcoin. I'm not buying it. I said it's going to 1,000," or you can give up and you can buy some Bitcoin and try to make money. So I think a lot of people who may be on the side not buying are giving up and trying to buy. What do you think? Let us know in the chat. Tell us why the price is going up. Shalom says it has nothing to do with FOMO. Other people says China is trying to limit access to BTC. They say the price is going up just to prove Tonvei's wrong. Oh, that's mean. Don't do that, price. Just to prove people wrong. But it is a tough call. Remember, you got to make calls, and it's best to make the kind of call where you say it's raining, but it's also sunny.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh says the Bears got wrecked and they are buying. They say the clown was wrong again. It's gone
Well,
up
the
because
thing
of Game
is,
of Thrones. No, go ahead, Josh.
well, yeah, it could be. I mean, I think a lot of technical indicators finding it really hard right now because you're not dealing with normal market dynamics. I think there's extreme price manipulation probably because the whole of Binance is locked out. So where's that liquidity? Maybe there's not enough supply for demand. You've also got some of these major institutionals wanting to come in at any time in the background, and they're starting to maybe even FOMO in. I doubt that they're FOMOing in, but that could be the case. But yeah, the rest of the world is also standing by. And folks, there's only 21 million of these things. There's only 21 million. It really is a tiny amount for the entire globe. So I don't really think I don't really understand why it hasn't gone up earlier, apart from the fact that everyone was basically FOMOing into the short sells.
I think a liquidity crisis could be a good reason that it's going up. Like you said, Binance is locked out. Several of the other exchanges have frozen their exchanges just in case the same hackers were waiting and going to go after them as well, or maybe they
Yeah,
just need to check their own security. Certainly makes a lot of sense. There's no reason to just stand around and let everybody be hacked. That kind of thing. They're saying in the chat, the stock market is going down. That's the reason that Bitcoin's going up, and that it's because of perhaps the trade war with China or even just general uncertainty. I know the American political system is full of uncertainty right now. Sometimes that boils over into the markets. We saw the famed and gigantic Uber IPO go down yesterday or the other day, a couple days ago, and it went all the way down. It didn't go any of the fun ways down. Uber had some trouble with their launch. Lyft is having trouble with their launch. They're saying that it's trouble for all the old .com startups that are heavy on debt and light on profits. Uber even saying before they launched that they may never make profit. That they may always just be an in debt company that still provides an incredible service. But
it's funny, isn't it? We live in a strange world where non-profits have huge market caps.
Well, and Uber could be a nonprofit if they had a heart,
Yeah,
if they'd organize themselves around, like, giving everyone a ride, giving everyone transportation, instead of around surge pricing and giving everyone a ride sometimes and all these kind of things. But again, they're kind of a company. They kind of make money. They certainly provide an incredible service. They spend money. They make money. The drivers don't make any money. I guess somebody somewhere makes money, so it's good that we did the Uber thing,
oh
rather
yeah,
than just building
absolutely.
like an infrastructure for decentralized ride sharing or infrastructure for electronic cars like it's coming. But again, they're betting on Uber. They're betting on the future of self-driving cars, and that when we talk about how you won't need to own a car in the future, maybe the company that owns all those cars will be Uber. So maybe it's a good buy. Those kind of things. But maybe it's Lyft. Uh-oh. Maybe you should buy Lyft as well. Cover your bases.
Cover hedge in the pink moustache.
So they're saying in the chat, World War II was 100 years ago. There's a 100-year war cycle. Well, it wasn't exactly 100 years ago. I would say more along the lines. World War II was almost 100 years ago, right? We're getting up into the 20s as I get older, literally.
Well, we all do. We're on this train together on different carriages. But yeah, that's interesting. These war cycles. I'm not sure if that's a thing, but I mean, we've only got two of them. These world wars.
Well, and then the third part, the Cold War part, and most historians are seeing the two wars as one giant war right now.
Mm.
Despite the branding, it's kind of like the Great World War One and Two, and then even the Cold War, which is like World War Three, is there, and then World War Four would be more the hot war after all that. Although World War Three is really seen as the hot war, still. But that's we're talking about Bitcoin here. The cycle is 800 years old. Well, then you should keep it under a nice plastic cover. Anything that's that old could get water damage. So let's see.
I did hear there was a leak of, um, I think it was some sort of whale group or something talking to Bitfinex about pumping the price to get themselves out of trouble. I can't remember where I heard that leak, and I'll try to find it. But that was a very interesting thing, and then you know, that was around the start of May, the 1st or 2nd of May, and then it's just skyrocketed ever since. So I'm not sure
Oh,
if that does correlate.
we did see this article saying that Bitfinex raised a staggering $1 billion. Previously, there was the report last week that Tether was something along the line of 78% capitalized, and that the rest of the money that was supposed to be backing up Tether had instead been invested into Bitfinex stock to keep the company alive. And
Yeah,
that
right.
seems super fishy. And remember, Bitfinex is the same company that printed their own debt token after they were allegedly hacked. Then the debt token was distributed to their users, and then their users uh, traded the debt token usually at a loss. A lot of the company was basically able to buy the debt token back for less than they owed on the debt token. It was pretty clever. No one seems to take a look into that. But now we have Bitfinex raising a staggering $1 billion. Perhaps this is causing the price of Bitcoin to rise 4%. This was the previous rise. We have seen another rise this morning of about another 4%, around 10% up overall. Trying to see if we have more information on this Bitfinex story. Not much there, just that they raised $1 billion. That sounds pretty good. Billion. The successful fundraising of Bitfinex. So Paulo announced it. Bitfinex is able to raise 1 billion Tether in 10 days in a private sale. Private companies, giants in our industry and outside, made investments for greater than $100 million each. A legion of inside and outside users made investments for $1 million. So Bitfinex has raised a staggering $1 billion. Excuse me. We've also seen the volume on BitMEX spike to $10 billion as Bitcoin hits the 2019 high. So that's good news. We've also got backed to launch Bitcoin futures at last. The crypto market is strong. So we're just seeing a lot of good news all over the place. But again, good news has not moved the price of Bitcoin before. It takes money to move the price of Bitcoin. Somebody is buying, other people are not selling. That's why the price is going up. but I don't need a magical crystal ball to tell you that. I can only tell you by looking at the chart, and the chart only predicts the past. It's a perfect predictor of the past. I can tell you the price of Bitcoin anytime in the past with an incredible degree of accuracy. So stand by if you want to know the Bitcoin price. In the past, I will be telling you. I can tell you about our fundraiser. Check out Tallycoin. It's a Bitcoin donation website. You can get your own Tallycoin at tallyco.in. You can go ahead and scan this QR code. You can donate Bitcoin. That's right, the original, the real Bitcoin. We're trying to raise $1,000. I'm going to go to Germany and record more interviews for the World Crypto Network. That's right, you can see them right here. We've got new proof of work shows coming out every Wednesday, hopefully for a long time. I've got about 10 to 15 I'm trying to get edited, trying to get into the queue, and then they're just going to slowly leak out one at a time. And I'm going to go record more. So if you like those interviews, if you like the show, if you made money in this uptrend, if you managed to hodl, go ahead and donate some Bitcoin to the World Crypto Network right here. They're saying people are having trouble with their diaper waves. Diaper wave systems are going down in the chat. Remember, it's Yacht Chain. Yacht Chain is resistant to hyperwaves. We developed Yacht Chain technology in Malta. You heard us talking about it in Las Vegas. The World Crypto Network has been keeping you up to date on the latest in Yacht Chain technology. Josh, we're up 12% now. Forget about 11%. We're at 7,849, charging upwards to 50 as I speak. Are we in another one of those good old days? Oh, we got a donation. That's surprising. That hasn't happened in a long time. Thanks so much to Satoshi's 6,306, 636,461. DJ's booth has got to get the comma separator in there. Remember, programmers, put the comma separator in your numbers. No one can read them otherwise. But thanks so much to our donor. We're now 22% towards our goal. Let's send mad Bitcoins to Germany. You can just scan the QR code and donate. It's Bitcoin. It's magical. What do you think, Josh? Still muted? How many satoshis for $1? We can try to refresh that one too. I think it was around 12,000 before, and now it is 12,723. So it's moving slowly.
Yeah, that's amazing. Let's see if we can get up to 8,004. And if it does, let's all donate to Mad Bitcoins European tour. Can you hear me?
There it is. If only we go up to 8,000. We're watching it right now. 7,867. It was about 7,850 just a few seconds ago. Let's see if we can zoom in, get a better look at this chart. Here we go.
Do you remember, Thomas, when after the Mount Gox collapse, there was a live ticker, but it was doing the opposite of what it's doing now. It was just tanking down and down, and we had people giving live commentary on that, and that was a very sad, scary day.
Well, and now that we're back on the other side of this, at least temporarily, let's give the same advice that we're going to give, which is that maybe it's time to take some profits. I said I was going to say this, and hey, maybe we break 8,000. Maybe you take 1% off the table, 2%, 5%. It's we're up and it's great, but they think it's going to roll back over. So maybe it's getting near profit taking time. But we are rushing upwards. Look like we're at 78, 88. We're probably going to break 7,900. I think we're going to rush right through 8,000. What do you think, Josh?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely could. This is absolutely phenomenal. I haven't seen this sort of price movement in Bitcoin, and we've both been around for a while. I haven't seen this sort of uptrend price movement for a long time, where it's been like literally $1,000 move within an hour.
It's some very strong FOMO, but remember the point of this FOMO is that yes, it would have been nice to have 100% of your stack into Bitcoin, but maybe you have 0% right now. What you have to learn from that is next time you have to put 10% in, you have to put 20% in. Maybe you only have 50% of your stack in Bitcoin right now. At least you have 50% in. It's very easy to sit there and say, "Oh, I wish I had the other 50% in," or "Oh, I wish I took a loan out on my house," or "Oh, I wish I sold my child into slavery." But it's a lot easier to wish that and think that when you're up 13% or whatever it is on this fine morning. But it's a lot more difficult to play those moves. And if you did play those moves, and if you're sitting in a campground right now listening to this on a radio, hoping that you can make the ransom to pay off your children and family that you sold into slavery, well, you're a risk taker. You're aggressive, and you know
just to say
you're
the least.
you're gonna win or you're gonna lose. You're putting it all out there. You're one of those people. So I would say just keep an eye on that. And people are saying in the chat that someone retired when it was 10K, and someone else says it's going to 1500, and all these kind of things. But you just got to have a flexible system and remember that you don't know everything, and no one else knows everything either. And you just got to hold on to it. People say exponential rise overnight. Well, I'm not saying sell, like sell it all, but I'm saying taste. Everyone needs to taste a little of their profits, and I know that there's a whole thing where you're like, oh no, if I taste it, I'll have less tomorrow. I'll have less the next day. All those kind of things, but tasting a little profits is not bad. Paying
Well,
off a little bit of credit card bills. Of course, I remember I helped spark this rally again because I sold some money to pay my bills a couple days ago, and the crazy thing raced upward. So don't let that past experience is probably a good idea to sell a little more to pay the bills now, and then see how it goes because you just don't know what's going on. So.
yeah, like I mean, we sell gold at Voltoro, gold for Bitcoin and Bitcoin back to gold and gold back to Bitcoin. So people are constantly trading these assets, and right now we've almost not got enough gold selling. People are just taking some profits, and the reason is, and I've had emails where someone has thanked me, even though the price has gone up, saying, "Hey, the price has gone up." Instead of, because I always think, "Oh, damn, the price has gone up. Why did I buy gold? The price has gone up." But I've got it twice where we've got emails saying, "Hey, thanks for the free gold, because now I've got just the same amount of value in Bitcoin as well as some gold." So that was an interesting take, and I think this is also something, if you take some profits off the table and buy yourself a car or pay off a credit card, you're really getting that for free if it keeps going up, and if it goes down, hey, you've done good as well. So it is well worth not being too greedy and taking little profits, but that is it. Also, it's good advice just to hodl as well. So it all depends on the type of risk appetite you've got, and what you want to buy or pay off.
I agree, Josh, and it's all about percentages. You want to go in 10%, 20%, even if you're buying gold, if you're buying Bitcoin, if you're buying dollars, whatever it is, just try to spread it around. Have some risk here, have less risk there. Don't just have this. I put it all into this, and I took it all out of that, and I put it all into this, and then there's people right now that desperately want Bitcoin. As
Mm,
hard as it is, you probably aren't going to want to buy this crazy uptrend. You're going to want to wait till it dips a little bit. But maybe
yeah,
it dips a little bit and it goes right back up. So maybe you want to get 10%, you want to get 20%. That's always good. Just enter slowly. You could get 10% today, 10% tomorrow. You could slowly get into this. And the same way about getting out. If you want to pay off some credit card bills, if you want to pay off your car or house, I don't know about right now, if you had enough or whatever, but maybe you can get a payment out right now. Maybe just take a little payment out, have a little profit from the Bitcoin, these kind of things. There's
and remember the old axiom: what goes up must come down sometimes as well, and what goes down must come up in the crypto world. So it's while the going's good, it is good to secure yourself, especially if you have debts.
And the chat seems to be going crazy all about the diaper wave. They want you to be careful, stay away from the diaper wave. It smells good. This guy says he needs a new pair of New Balance sneakers. Should he sell? Well, if New Balance sneakers around 1% or 2% of your take, nothing wrong with getting some new sneakers. New Balance are some great sneakers. I saw a great Saturday Night Live sketch about how New Balance is the athletic shoe for people that aren't athletic. It was good. They were,
Yeah,
they were tearing it down pretty good, and I was like, oh wait, that's me. Oh, they got me. They got me
okay.
good. So, but you just gotta take it when they get you, and they get you on the joke. But
We have
obviously,
Pittsburgh here. Pittsburgh hodler. Gold is good to own. Bitcoin is better. Absolutely. 80-20 BTC to gold. For also interesting. We Thomas, you have really some of the best, most educated people on your chat. There's a really, whenever I read through the chats of the World Crypto Show, I'm always surprised and well surprised that how wonderful your audience is and how educated. A lot of the time I've seen on other shows where people are just, no, moon, but of course you get that too, but you also get some very well-educated and inquisitive minds.
well, that was what Ben was saying just from the recent Bitcoin group episode. Ben said he went back and watched the show again with the live chat, and this time he could really focus on the chat because he wasn't on the show.
Mm,
And Ben was really impressed by the chat, where it was going, the ideas it was discussing, and in
yeah,
general, what I like about our chat, sometimes not so much, but they let people put their ideas out. They try to debate the people's ideas. They don't just fall to name calling and giving up communication. We seem to have a pretty good communication, even among people who disagree with each other. So I think
yeah,
that's really good, and that leads to a nice discussion where we can get to the end and we say, okay, well, you still believe in your Austrian economics, and I still believe in my Keynesian economics, and we're going to agree to disagree. But we had a nice chat, and we both explored the kind of boundaries of what we believe in, the area around it. And that's what these discussions should be for. That's what good media is for. We've forgotten that with all the sit on the couch and ignore everything media. But that's a little bit of what I was talking about in the beginning about the Dalai Lama, and that we should have compassion for non Bitcoiners, and we should try to understand where they come from and what they believe in and how this has
mm,
led them to not invest in Bitcoin. Even though we keep asking them, we keep trying. A friend of mine did a big restoration on his house. And I told him, hey, you should take 10% of that restoration money instead of spending it on this, kind of pointless restoration. You should, hey, maybe put it into Bitcoin, see how it goes. And of course, as the timing was, he would have easily doubled up on that. But instead, the money's gone, it's spent. But still, if you get value out of money, it's okay to spend it. He's got
mm,
workmen that are building things. It's going to be on his house. He'll get to use it forever. It's good to spend things and get value, but then you also want to have some of your money for investing. It's all about
yeah,
percentages and risks. And a lot of people are like, well, I only have $100. I'm never going to get $1 million off $100, all that kind of thing. But you might get 110, you might get 120. You'll get a little bit more money, and that you have some of it investing, some of it in savings, most of it you're spending, and you just want to have to try to have a balance there. And even on a day like this, when we're looking at the price of Bitcoin and it goes straight up, and everybody's FOMOing super hard, and oh, I should have bought this and I should have bought that. Well, you bought what you bought, you did what you did. We are where we are. It's
mm,
probably gonna, there'll be a dip again, but maybe the dip was like the one this morning, dip to 7,000, rebound to 7,500. That's kind of a dip.
yeah,
But remember, if you're willing to enter with 10%, if you're willing to exit with 10%, you can take these small steps in and out of the market. You can get a taste of it. You can feel some of the green and some of the red, a little bit of both. But then you have to remember that only I hold the predictor in my hand. Only I am the one you can trust. I'm going to be having seminars for a zero point 0.1 Bitcoin. You can look at the predictor. I'll ask questions for you to the magical Bitcoin price predictor. As you can see there, it has a starfish sticker. It's not on there properly. If it was on there properly, you'd know that it's a lie. Obviously, the improper, it looks upside down, it looks backwards. All those things add to the power of the magical Bitcoin price predictor. The only indicator that you can trust. It works 100% of the time, every time. That's right.
Amazing.
It is. And everyone in the chat is just overjoyed. They can't believe that we have the orb. Surprised that it took us so long to acquire such an incredible Bitcoin predictor, but it's an important day like this. Let's check out the mainstream media. Ah, the price, the price, the price, the price, the price.
Mm,
The price. They never learn. Whenever the price is up, you always say, is there going to be one of those articles where they go learn about Bitcoin? Why is
mm.
Bitcoin so cool? Why do people want it? Well, there's only 21 million. So if you get your hands on a 1 or a point 0.1, you have, a large scale of it. Compared to traditional fiat money, we don't even know how many millions of coins or dollars they've printed. We
Right.
don't know the number, and you only have $1 of that. You don't have that much. So again, the price, mild correction to 7,000. See, so even right here, 14 hours ago, Cointelegraph wrote an article. So if you were out there on the sidelines, you're like, I didn't get any Bitcoins, I'm sad. Well, here it is, mild correction to 7,000. So if you'd entered with 10% at 7,000, you would be up, a 10% now on your 10%. Not a lot of money, and you'd probably be like, "Oh, I made $10. I could have made 100 if I put it all in," but you could have lost the 100 as well. So you just have to go in slowly, in and out, keep an eye on a market, and who knows, when a thing's going up like this, sometimes you can jump on it and go higher. Sometimes you jump on it and it goes lower. So let's see, Bitcoin's a store of value. Mike Novogratz, Web 3.0 will change the world, not Bitcoin. Well, that article seems a little dated. It's from May 11th. Oh, it's 2 days old. Okay.
Oh, that's really old in
2
Bitcoin
days
time.
old. You can, forgive them for having that kind of nonsense. Bitcoin remains bullish 10 hours ago, AMB crypto. So they're right on that. Will the price rise again after the coin gape, coin gape? So it's always easy to ask questions, especially in headlines. You
Yeah.
just ask a question instead of making a statement. It's very easy. Bitcoin to resume growth once the short term correction is over, FX Street. So that again seems right 12 hours ago. We can judge this highest level since August 2018. That's a statement. The dollar's brutal 100-year tailspin guarantees a spellbinding Bitcoin. Well, that sounds like something I've always been saying. Bitcoin SV questions Bitcoin's price surge. Yeah, well, good luck with that. How are you going to argue with a market? That's the thing. You can be out there saying, "Hey, Betamax is better than VHS. Betamax is so much better." And then at the same time, it doesn't matter. The Spartans just run right over you, right? The market just like all these, what are you going to do? All these soldiers running by you with the troops. Institutional demand for Bitcoin seems to be increasing. That's just what we were saying the other day on the Bitcoin group. You could have watched that on Friday. You would have gotten the scoop sooner than 24 minutes ago. Blow off, lift off. Bitcoin price will hit $500,000 because it beats gold. Hedge fund chief. That sounds nice. That's a kind article to write on the 12th. I like that. Um, all things are good for Bitcoin these days, of course. Remember, it's all about this personal connection, like ET and Elliot. The space alien. He's connected to the Bitcoin. Stock struggling. U.S. China tariffs and Bitcoin. So what about the idea that Bitcoin is a safe haven asset, Josh? We've talked about that before. Are we seeing that happen now? Are people FOMOing to Bitcoin because the stock market's so bad, the trade war is so bad, the president is a nightmare, the world is a scary place, and when that happens, it's time to get some Bitcoin, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in Europe here, we've got Brexit, and Brexit is an interesting one because they're not saying there's a set date. Really, there's a latest date, but it could happen any month. We don't know. It could just, and so, and as a business here running out of Europe, you've always got to sort of have you've always got to be on high alert to whether you need to contact um, you know the other regulators in another country and start to negotiate there. I mean, so this whole world is really in a space where we're seeing a moment in time. It's like the perfect storm. We're seeing a moment in time where you have a whole lot of very, very scary stuff happening globally and geopolitically. But at the same time, for the first time, we have an immutable, indestructible, seemingly technology where you can put some value into and secure that outside of a bank or a state. And so this is amazing.
We're only in the early stages of it, but this is the kind of thing that you never wanted, but you always said was gonna happen, and then now you accidentally benefit from. If the entire world does come spiraling down and Bitcoins come spiraling up, the people who have Bitcoin will benefit, but the entire world will be wrecked and destroyed. So
Mm.
it's not gonna be that great. You're not gonna be able to wear your Bitcoin hats out in public at that point. You're probably going to need security, even if you have a point 0.1 Bitcoin. But this is the kind of cypherpunk nightmare world that we could wake up to. Why would that happen? How would that happen? Let's talk about how people value things. People value
Yeah.
things kind of blindly. Everything's always going to be the same. I'm always going to turn on the TV. We're going to get to the next day. Things will be
Yes.
fine. But there's been historical events, and certainly in a safe country like the United States, it sounds absurd, but in a country like, say, Lebanon or Syria or Israel or anywhere in the hotter spots of the world, a bomb comes through this window. I don't have a library anymore. I don't have
Mm.
a nice, safe little room that I can go back to. My bedroom's ruined. Everything's all wrecked. That could happen in those parts of the world, and that uncertainty is starting to come to the main part of the world, which could wreck the entire economy system. Whoop whoop goes down. Bitcoin's the only thing you can trust. That's why we've been telling people to buy Bitcoin, even just a little bit, and to store some of it so they
Yeah.
can have it for the future and try to avoid this and try to get some before the bankers do. But maybe it's up now. So
Yeah. No,
I
it's
don't think we're at that point, but this is the kind of thing you have to start talking about when you see the rest of the world really react to Bitcoin. Because remember, to go through the phases again, and I'm gonna let Josh talk, but when we started in Bitcoin, no one cared. No one cared about Bitcoin at all. So it didn't
mm,
matter if it went from 300 to 500 or it went to 1200 or whatever, right? All through those wonderful, beautiful, quiet periods, no one cared about Bitcoin. But now people care about Bitcoin. They're seeing it as serious. They're seeing it as a possibility, not just for the people of Cyprus to get their money out when the ATM stop working, but for the people of the United States and the entire world to get their money out if the rest of the banks stop working, if the big banks stop working, if we have a trade war with China, all these kind of things. What do you think, Josh? Are they taking us seriously like we've been right all along, and now it's just reaching the size of this snowball? It's big enough.
yeah, no, absolutely. And the thing that people forget is that during a crisis, it's very, very hard to uh, put any money in savings because generally you don't have any if you're saving it in bad money. And this is a lot of the time what the gold bugs talk about is trying to save uh, in the moment where you're prosperous, where you can put something aside, and not during the crisis. But at the same time, I do expect if there is a giant crisis, and because we have seen this in the past, where gold prices actually start to go down. I'm referring to gold because historically I can look back a lot further than Bitcoin. Bitcoin is only 10 years old. So if we have a crisis, generally gold also goes down, but everything else does. So relative is really what you were talking about before. Relativity in prices what you're looking for. So what you want to do is try to always price things against other commodities. Don't stop trying to price things in USD or in euros. Price things in a barrel of oil. Price things in a bushel of wheat. Price things in corn. Price things in gold. Price things in real assets to get a true feel of what something's worth. Because pricing stuff in a currency that could be printed out of nowhere and thrown out of helicopters is nuts in the long run. Sure, in the short term when things are going well and you know, you can turn the television on and it's still lying to you, then it's you know, it's fine. But yeah, during a crisis, you definitely want to have already bought up some sort of safe haven assets.
Just taking a look at the traditional markets here, the Dow Jones is down 650 points or $650, sorry, today. 2%, 2.5% drop based upon pretty much the news of Trump and the China trade war. Trump's trade approach is under attack as China retaliates on tariffs. Markets open with a big sell off. And this is the Monday morning market. So this sets a tone for the rest of the week. So if we're selling off today, we're selling off tomorrow. Wednesday, it might slow down. Thursday, more sell off. Friday, more sell off. This could be a big sell off coming down on the stock market because of the China trade war. Oil prices fall with China and trade war, and they give back the early rise. Looking at it, I did zoom out a little bit. It is a bad 5 days. Looking at it for a month, it was kind of going sideways, then whoop. And then 6 months, we had a bit of a recovery from the big down. The big down still 21,000 on the Dow Jones, still 25,000 now. But it does look like it might have had a I don't know, maybe a dead cat bounce. The way that you can see it recover from here and then again turn downwards. We had an up, we had an up. Is that a triple top? I don't know if they make those. But let's zoom out some more. We can see here the recession of 2008, the downturn there, pretty big drop. We can see the major recovery here, continued recovery, and then we're having trouble getting over this $30,000 dollar point here on the Dow Jones. They're rejecting it. So this might be a total rejection. So I don't know the previous close. So we're just keeping an eye on that. What do you think, Josh? The trade war, this is pretty standard, right? When we were kids, they explained to us how tariffs work. And let's have an example. I would like to, you're a country, I'm a country. We're selling things. I'm going to charge you a 30% tax anytime you want to import any of your fine chapstick into my country. So now you respond with a 30% tax on all of my magical Bitcoin price predictors. And then I respond with a 30% tax on you. And so we just go back and forth, right? This is a classic. Why would we ever stop raising tariffs on each other until
Yeah.
we reach the point where no one is trading anything and we screwed up the whole system, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And then you start to, because the things like this take a long time. You can't just make America the factory of the world again. It doesn't happen over the night. You know, it's taken a long time for China to build the skill sets, to build the machinery, to get everything to become the factory of the world. They've done it extremely well. They've outpriced everybody else, and now everybody's bitching and moaning, saying that, oh, you know, you guys are ripping us off. But really, they've managed to control the market extremely well through, you know, also not very nice means. You know, it's very controlled and very awful. Some of the mechanisms they use, but to go into these tariff wars and to build taxes in, we're moving away from free markets here. We're moving into manipulated markets that are controlled, and you also get total distortions in marketplaces. So just like if you have taxes, you can also get distortions when you start giving money to certain sectors of the economy. For instance, fisheries might get given taxes or give them money to continue, or farmers, it happens a lot as well, to sort of promote local stuff. And the problem with that is all of a sudden the fisheries start fishing really rare fish out of the water, and the consumer doesn't see that it's rare by the price because it's being subsidized by taxes. And then you get extinction of different fish types because the consumer never saw that the fish should be so expensive that no one can afford to buy the stuff. But it doesn't. So these sort of taxes and incentives on both sides really aren't good for a true free market. And they usually behind the scenes are very controlled by lobby groups to try to control the market. So there's some people that do very well out of taxes and tariffs and subsidies, and the market in general doesn't do very well because there's not a natural price discovery mechanism anymore.
And we've tried this isolationism before. After World War One, America withdrew from the world and said, "We don't want any trouble with the world. We just want to do our own thing." And this made no sense to anyone at the time, but they gave it a try, right? And then they started to realize they're like, "Wait, our friend Britain is being attacked, but we're not part of the world. And oh, our friend France has been overrun, and our friend Germany is completely unrecognizable. And there are a lot of good people there that don't want anything to do with all this." And we're like, no, 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 just let it happen. Let the world happen. And, FDR is doing all these things. We do the Lend Lease program. We give the British some ships. The Germans sink the Lusitania. There's some other problems. We're getting a little hot there. And then the whole Pearl Harbor thing happens. And we're like, great, we have an excuse to enter the war. Of course, we took the oil away from the Japanese, so they had no choice but to attack Pearl Harbor. But that aside, we tried isolationism. It didn't work. After World War II, America went out into the world, and for good or for worse, America protected her commercial shipping lanes and her commercial interests. She used military power to establish a world of trade. And as it turned out, as much as a lot of people are against a world established that way, it became relatively peaceful. These people that are trading with each other don't want to fight each other. These people that owe large amounts of money to each other would rather wait for the next shipment of goods than have a trade war over an imbalance, right? But
Mm.
now we have this maniac in there who's like, I can't wait for the next shipment of goods. I need to tax you now. I can't, things are never going to even out. And things are going to even out, right? China's growing, India's growing. The US grew like that as well. We'll have growth like that in the future. Maybe we'll have a different kind of growth. We'll switch to a different kind of economy. These are shifts that are happening. Things like automation. You can't try to put this back in the box. You can't try to unwind it to rebuild the coal factories or rebuild the coal plants. All this kind of thing. You can't do it, but we're gonna
Yeah.
try it anyway. Is the basic scientific history, all these kind of logical, rational arguments, even just arguing from self-interest, even just trying to understand not just the immigrants, but the refugees, the people that are running from places like Venezuela or San Salvador, or other places that are bad, and they're
Mm.
running and they have no choice. And we can't even understand that. We don't understand why they're coming. It's not gonna
But
stop. We're not using any logic on this. So, but we're gonna have to meanwhile, the rest of us who do like logic, who do like reading and knowledge, are gonna have to sit on the sidelines and see how this sorts itself out.
yeah,
Apparently, it's sorting itself out with the Dow going down 600 points today.
amazing, amazing. I mean, a much better way to go is general propaganda of like buy American made if you're really into America, or buy German made if you're in Germany, or buy Australian made if you're Australia, because that way you give market feedback of what the market wants. But by forcing it with taxation, you start to get problems. There's also issues in the 80s and 90s. It was Taiwan. Taiwan was the big factory of the world, and of course the middle class grew until they priced themselves out of the market of becoming that, and they started becoming more paper shuffling industry, like bankers and things over that way. And the fact and the factories went over to China, and China started to really peak and head upwards. And so this is a normal market dynamics that when you start to do well, then the workers start to demand more wages, and things start to and then the markets might travel. But by using taxation or and different mechanisms of austerity, uh, you start to manipulate markets in ways that you don't really know. You don't see the unseen. You see the seen, and the unseen takes sometimes a lot longer to be seen.
Well, no, a rising tide lifts all boats. We need to get on the same team here, on the same program. We need to bring up the whole world. I've talked about this before, but I keep talking about it. In World War Z, the zombies, which used to be a representation of consumerism, they were in the malls in the Night of the Living Dead. They were the undead shoppers. They were just brainless shoppers. But now the zombies have shifted, and the zombies are the immigrants. They're the refugees. And the
Mm,
key scene to see is the one where, and they do it well in the movie too, is where the zombies build a ramp with their own dead bodies and they climb right over the wall. And that's not just Trump's wall, the Great Wall of China. That's all walls. They've
mm.
always been able to climb walls. If you have it good somewhere and you build a wall around yourself, you've never been safe. You've just highlighted to the fact that you have it good. If you see anyone with a large wall around their mansion or their castle, as a peasant, you want to look over that wall. I'll bet there's some good stuff there, and that's what's going to happen to the entire world, though. So if we want to avoid that, we have to lift everyone up. We have to give everyone a chance. We have equality of opportunity, not equality of outcome. We can't guarantee that things will go well, but we hope if you work hard, if you're diligent, if you work with people, if you work on a team for a positive goal, that you'll be successful. And we need the entire world to believe that so that we can all be successful together. Or we can see what happens the other way.
Yeah, and I think this is where Bitcoin really fits in because what we're dealing with now is true money. When you have a systemically corrupt system that's based on debt, where there's way more interest than capital that's flowing around, you're always going to have an underclass of people chasing the interest that doesn't exist, and so the middle class can't lift itself and become bigger. And then you get people on the left talking about overpopulation and that's a real big problem. And I've noticed that when the middle class does grow, and you do lift the this how people live and the quality of life, people generally slow down in having kids, and you see this in modern societies where the most people generally have like 1.2 kids or 1.5 in on average. So not only does lifting the middle class help everybody and using real money, real hard assets as money lift the middle class, but I think you'll also see that we'll stop having these people running around coming up with crazy eugenicist style ideas of how to control population, but instead naturally control the population by us just all living a bit better.
Well, and maybe in some ways we're seeing the alien operating system come on here and take over. If you think about the way that Linux was created from Linux, uh, Linux created Linux, whatever. But Stallman created all these tools, the free software movement, and there were all these tools lying about. And now we have the internet, we have the MP3, we have this streaming medium. We can do streaming video. We have the chat room, and then we get Bitcoin. People can donate money. I want to thank our most recent donor. This page hasn't updated, but if this page updated, it would show we had another donor. But again, what I was talking about here is we now have the money. We now have the money tool given to us, whether it came from a programmer like Satoshi or from a alien intelligence trying to save the entire world, giving us the exact things we need to free ourselves at just the right times, as if it was all a simulation. But now we have that, so we have a chance at that. So it's pretty exciting, and to see it go straight up like this, like a middle finger. Remember, all the charts predicted this, Josh. Last night when they went to bed, they were like, "Tomorrow morning, Bitcoin's going to go straight up like a middle finger. It's going to be the big FU candle. We have the FU candle coming out of here, and we can see all of our charts and so forth." So.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be amazing if if someone could manipulate the market so well to actually draw a middle finger. That'd be funny.
We've seen a lot of Bart Simpson drawings lately. Checking
It's
out
been
the
a lot.
chat, seems like some people know who Satoshi is.
All
They
right.
say Satoshi is the U.S. government. So we're back
Okay.
to the good old Satoshi is the U.S. government. and they're all saying they're going to switch over to some other channel, and they're going to tell them that they were right the whole time. Because the beauty to this whole thing is that you just have to say, I'm short term bearish, I'm long term bullish, I'm right for both directions. No matter what happens, I'm right. You're wrong. You should invest in me. So we're going to give everyone one more chance to call in if you guys would like to join the show. We've just been talking. We started a little bit early. Didn't get that much chance to review the articles and so forth because the price of Bitcoin started going up pretty much as soon as I created the Hangout. The price of Bitcoin went up from 8 o'clock to about 8:20. It went from around 7,500 to 7,000, seeing maybe even a little bit of 900 as I talk about ending the show.
Yeah,
Um,
just that animation in that.
let's see. We have all kinds of prices going on here. Let's see. Microsoft launches a decentralized identity tool on the Bitcoin blockchain, not on the Stellar or the Hyperledger or the Fabric or the L3 or whatever, but they launched it on the Bitcoin blockchain. So that's nice to see. Bitcoin comes to Whole Foods, major retailers, at least according to a Winklevi backed company called Flexa with an app called Spedend that still sounds like a deadened dead end software. The new dead end software will allow you to spend Bitcoin at Regal Cinemas, GameStop, Baskin Robbins. They would just scan a QR code and it would pay automatically. The app seems to work. The writer says it works. But the article reads like a press release. Bitcoin and merchants has always been a tough one to get over, but we're going to have to see how it goes. It's always good to see news like that. Backed is launching Bitcoin futures at last. Crypto markets are strong. That's good to see. We looked at the mainstream media, who's all into the price, the price, the price. Maybe it's a good time to learn about Bitcoin, see how it works. We had theories about the price buys, the dollars, tailspin. Maybe the price is up because Bitfinex raised $1 billion from private companies as well as other people who invested in Bitfinex. Could be up because of the Fidelity news. Remember, we talked about how Fidelity is allegedly going to launch crypto trading in a few weeks. And if that's true, a bunch of people know that. And if a bunch of people know that, they're probably here to buy Bitcoin so that when that comes out, they could sell Bitcoin on the news. Remember, people that know more than you like to buy early and then sell on the news, whereas you like to buy when the news is coming out and it makes you feel good, and that always gets you wrecked. So you have to what's that old thing? You have to buy when there's blood in the streets and sell during the celebrations, something like that. We didn't really look at it, but there's the price of altcoins. Looks like Bitcoin's up 11%, Ethereum up 7%, Ripple up 5%, Bitcoin Cash up 10%, Litecoin up 6%, EOS up 6%, Binance Coin up 13%, Tether holding steady. Stellar up 3%, Cardano up 7%. So it's just a board full of green.
I'll give
Go ahead, Josh.
I'll give you guys the rumor right here. One of our coders just got the latest, the Voltoro 2.0. It's looking very exciting. We're working like crazy to finish it. It's a total rewrite of Voltoro, so it's very, very exciting. Thanks, Raj. Just wanted to share that with you guys. So that might be why Bitcoin is going up, because people are buying the rumor that Voltoro 2 is going to launch soon.
Baltoro 2, very cool. You can trade Bitcoin for gold. And like Josh was saying, when the price is up, it's always a good time to buy a little bit of gold or to buy a little of USD or maybe to go buy an item. I used to shop at a Bitcoin website back in the day. Whenever the price was up, it always a nice thing to get another book or get a new cable for your laptop or a new lens for your camera. Let's buy some small things. Let's
Support
reward our
businesses,
support businesses. And we also talked
Let's
about the
support
trade
Bitcoin.
war with US and China, how the Dow Jones has dropped 600 points just this morning. So while you and the Bitcoiners may be celebrating, the oil prices are falling and the traditional markets are down and very, very down, very scary. Usually when the price is down 100 points or 200 points, people freak out. We had a 300, 400 point drop the other day, but this is really meaning business with a
Yeah.
600-point drop. This is also Monday news, so we're kicking off Monday with U.S. China uncertainty, likelihood of the Dow declining or going sideways the rest of this week, mainly based upon the news. I didn't ask the crystal ball on that one. I just get that feeling. But meanwhile, the Bitcoin people were singing, "The beauty of the heart echoes the beating of the drums. There is a life about to start when tomorrow
And tomorrow
comes."
comes.
And we're gonna head towards the end of the show. Thanks so much to our donor. We had one donor during the show, 600,036,461 satoshis. Remember, you can support the Mad Tour right here, going to Germany to spread the word about Bitcoin, do some interviews. I'll be going to the Blockchain Hotel Conference in Essen, Germany. You guys should join me. Use code MADBitcoins24 or something like that. Mad Bitcoins
It,
25, Mad 25. Voltoro 25, whatever it is, you should sign up for a blockchain hotel with some
it's a
kind of
really good conference,
it's a good
gotta
conference.
say. Yeah.
Yeah, it's chill. It's right there in Essen. It's in northwest Germany, I guess. I don't really know my regions of Germany right now. Uh, but yeah, I'll be up there. Then I'm going to go to Amsterdam for Breaking Bitcoin. Then I'm going to go to where Josh is for the Unchained conference in Berlin, which I'm
Here in
calling
Berlin.
Northeast Germany or something like that.
Yeah,
So,
landlocked.
landlocked. I know. How can you live in a place with no ocean? He
How
said
can you start a war with no ocean? That's the weirdest thing.
you have to send a lot of angry letters. Send the ravens, very mad ravens.
Yeah.
But thanks again to everybody for watching the show. Give us a thumbs up and a share. I enjoyed the conversation in the chat. Go, go, go. Not sure about Bitcoin being created by the government, but I like everybody. It's always worth talking about, spreading out the various options and other ideas. So thanks so much for stopping by. Until next time, bye bye.